Hello and welcome to The Word, bringing you the good news of Jesus Christ every day from the order of preachers around the world. Today, we celebrate Wednesday of the 31st week in Ordinary Time. And from England, we hear from Father Ewan Marley, who is prior at St. Michael's Priory, the Blackfriars in Cambridge. Father Ewan's preaching today is entitled, What It Costs.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. At that time great crowds accompanied Jesus. He turned and said to them, anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not bear his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation, is not able to finish, or we see it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going out to encounter another king in war will not sit down first and deliberate whether he is able with 10,000 meet him who comes against him with 20,000? Did not, while the other is yet a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks for terms of peace. So therefore any one of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. The Gospel of the Lord. Well, November the 5th. I'm preaching here from the British Isles, and for us November the 5th is great meaning. It's a strange legacy of history 400 years ago. The gunpowder plot, as we all know about this, and we all get taught about this in school, where Catholic conspirators tried to blow up not just King James VI, who had become King James I of England, but the entire Parliament. A Parliament which was largely what we would now call the House of Lords, aristocrats, but also important figures who were in some ways in opposition. Quite incredible plot. And to this day it affects my life because I'm a Catholic, brought up a Catholic. The plot was mad, has to be said. It's the maddest act of terrorism ever planned. It's impossible to imagine what the world will be like. And yet the other reason it affects my life is because, frankly, it was my favourite day of the year as a child. We'd build a bonfire. I used to make the Guy, which was the effigy of Guy Fawkes, the man who was caught planting the gunpowder, even though he wasn't the leader of the plot. That was Robert Catesby. And we were allowed to set off fireworks. It's much more organised now, a great deal more boring. And we spent weeks collecting for the bonfire. As us kids, we'd be carrying any kind of spare wood we could find for quite literally miles away. I remember walking 2 miles with a great log which was going to be useful to be the centre of the bonfire. And we set off fireworks everywhere, but it gets more and more controlled now. And you might think, what were we celebrating? Well, we were celebrating, of course, the defeat of this great, terrible plot. But as we said, I think a lot of us more thought of it as celebrating the attempt, the anarchic thing about it. Kind of wild irresponsibility, only pretending. Well, I must say the way we used fireworks wasn't pretending. Did some very dodgy things, We used to hold bangers in our hand and let them go at the last minute before they blew up. With hindsight, I'm prepared to say that was irresponsible. I nearly got incinerated in the bonfire because a mentally handicapped person set fire to it while I was fixing the Guy. He was mentally handicapped, so I had to jump off of this bonfire covered in cooking fat, which went up with a great whoosh. Yeah, it was wild, crazy. It also raises questions, that the big question is, what would have happened? And quite simply, it would have been disaster, terrible, utterly destructive. And it would also have been a complete failure. To this day, as I say, Catholics are affected. The destruction or attempted destruction led to greater enmity, fear, hatred, hostility, even though James VI was very careful to say he did not blame all Catholics. But the Great Civil War, the worst war in terms of loss of life as a percentage of the population in British history, Ireland being conquered by forces who identified as Protestant, Ireland resisting and identifying as Catholic. So much history. And here we have a gospel that tells us exactly what's wrong. It's, in a way, it seems like strangely practical advice. Don't build a tower if you can't afford to finish it. Don't start a fight you can't win. It's actually saying that the way we build, if we're Catholic Christians, the way we fight is entirely different from that. We don't build with an aim in mind, so we build our towers by building small things slowly, continually. We don't fight with violence. Countries have a right to defend themselves. Notice he says a king against a king. The individual doesn't always have a choice in war, so we usually have to fight in the country that commands us. As individuals, as a church, we do not fight. Not like that. We resist. We show what we are. We're not afraid. We also understand that many people don't understand what we're saying. When you try to explain that abortion is killing, they don't understand. When you say that assisted dying is not taking pain away and it is also changing what we are, they don't understand. So you have to listen to them before you talk. You have to persuade them. You have to resist or you say, I will not do this thing. And that's a price we have to pay. Well, difficult. Sometimes you find people won't talk to you. Old friends. People you've known since you were a child. We have to pay that price. That's the price we pay. We have to stand up for what is true. Most of all, we have to understand that the real power of a Christian is sacrifice, loss. We let go of all the things that we think are ours, even friendship, even belonging to our own lands and towns and where we belong, even the family, because of the truth. And most of us really don't have to suffer that, but some of us do. And some of us don't, but should, because they came to that point. So what it costs, as T.S. Eliot puts it, is not less than everything. We have a fight, which we must win. We have something we must build. But we build in humility, in hope, in trust. Above all, we do no harm, do no evil. The great plot against James VI was also a plot against the Scottish king. So as a Scot and a Catholic, I'm affected. But mostly I think what we learn from this terrible event, which would have been so disastrous and so murderous and so dangerous for the Catholics it was supposed to defend, is it's not the way. The way of Christ is always peace, but a relentless peace, an insistent peace. We will walk the road Christ calls us to walk. We will carry our own cross. The cross which each one of us has for themselves. You notice he says that. And we won't win. Not in this world, not in history. We may push back some of the evils. We may alleviate some of the evils. We may help. We may find people who've done evil who turn to the church seeking mercy. But we won't end the evils of the world. Instead, we will keep going. That's why this terrible day, This mad day in British history. Is this a celebration of a greater victory? It's not done with gunpowder, it's not done with fireworks, not done by power or might at all, but by the Spirit of God.